I've found your latest Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 addiction. Let me introduce you guys to Ball X Pit, and let me tell you guys why you will not be able to stop playing this particular game. So Ball X Pit is a new roguelike game coming in from Devolver Digital, and this game absolutely cooks. It has grabbed me and absolutely will not let me go. So like I said, this game is a roguelike game that takes place in this fantasy kingdom of Balbalon, which is destroyed by a meteor, leaving a giant pit in the center of the city. So adventurers venture down into the pit in search of its treasures, and they do battle with the enemies they face with these little balls. This game combines brick breaking, ball ricocheting, and geometry action to make an experience unlike quite anything else I have played, and it is addicting as can be. So strap in and subscribe because I'm going to tell you guys why this game is so awesome. So when you start your run, you will select a character, which there are tons of to unlock, and each character has their own stats, levels, passive abilities, and special ball that they start their run with, making each one of them not only look different but also feel very unique to play. And these stats affect many different things, whether it be their HP, it affects how fast they can move, it affects how fast they shoot the balls. So there's a lot of things that the stats actually have to do, and each of these characters can be leveled up individually, giving you a reason to play all of them a little bit. And the passive abilities also make them all very unique. While some have the ability to have their balls pass through the enemies and then bounce back to you once they hit the back wall, or some have increased movement speed even while firing, there's just a lot of different combinations that these characters have, giving you different play styles depending on which one you choose for that particular run. Now, as you begin taking down enemies throughout your run, you'll collect experience, allowing your character to level up, giving them the option to collect a special ball to shoot, like a fireball or a lightning ball that'll shock the enemies around the target. And all of these have their own special effects, or you can collect passive abilities to do things like increase your crit chance or your movement speed or things of that nature. There's a lot of different combinations as far as the ball types as well as the passive abilities that you can combine to lead to really unique and creative builds based on the items that you have at your disposal. And this selection feels super important throughout your run because depending on the things that are going on, a certain ball type or a passive can actually make or break your build, which makes each run feel incredibly satisfying testing out different strategies. Now, occasionally enemies will also drop these little rainbow collectibles, allowing you to do a handful of things. The first is simply increase the level on the items that you've already collected. So this will do things like maybe raise a special ball type up a level, increasing its damage, or it'll increase a passive to allow certain things to happen more frequently. So that's the first thing that you can do. The other option is that you can fuse two balls together to combine their powers. Not only does this combine the balls and allow you to get multiple effects off of one ball hitting a target, but it also frees up inventory space, allowing you to get additional balls to continue powering up your build. Now, the final thing that you can do is actually evolve a couple balls into a more powerful ball, freeing up inventory space and allowing you to collect even more items, but also finding an entirely new ball with its own unique effects, which is incredibly fun as you're uncovering all the different ball types in this game. There's actually 60 different ball types that you're able to use in this game, so builds can get really diverse the further you get into the game and the more stuff you unlock, which makes for just an overall really satisfying experience. Now, each run itself contains a handful of mini bosses that you'll have to defeat, as well as a big final boss at the end of the run, which I have to say I was shocked to see in a game like this. I really wasn't sure how boss battles were going to be implemented, but was actually pretty impressed with how they were incorporated into this particular game. They're a lot of fun to take down, and it requires quite a bit of strategy depending on the character that you're playing. So as you complete these runs, you'll get awarded gears, which you can use to upgrade the lift in the hub area, unlocking more levels of the pit to complete runs in. This will change up the enemy types that you come in contact with. It'll change the environment that you're playing in, and all of this leads to you encountering more and more obstacles to deal with. But upgrading your lift is not the only thing that you can do in this hub world. You can also build up a town, putting resources out to be harvested that'll allow you to build more buildings and structures that'll support you along the way. You can also put down different buildings that will, like housing structures, that'll allow you to unlock additional characters. And there's even buildings that upon being built will actually increase stats for all of your characters across the board, which is really important for unlocking, so that way all of your characters become that much more powerful. And all of these things can be upgraded, giving you a reason to constantly be returning to town and upgrading your stuff rather than just continuously going on runs. Now, there are also these shrine-like buildings that you'll collect upon completing runs for the first time. So after you take down a boss, you'll unlock the blueprint for that particular shrine. And what these do after you build them up in your town, they'll provide a stat boost based on how many characters you have completed that corresponding level with. So it gives you a lot of reason to revisit older levels that you've already completed runs on with new characters that you've unlocked to increase that stat bonus that you're acquiring through them, which is just a really fun way to not only get you to play new characters on the older levels and revisit this old content, but also make your characters that much more powerful. And there are plenty of blueprints for buildings that you can uncover throughout each level, and it will actually tell you how many you have undiscovered in each level, giving you an idea of if you've gotten them all. But it also gives you yet another reason to return to these older locations after completing them. It's really nice that this game incentivizes going back and back and back to older levels that you've already done a handful of times in order to see if you can get more blueprints, if you can get more shrine completion, so that way you get more powerful. There's just so many reasons to return upon the fact that you just increase the level of your character every time you return and level them up in each particular zone. So that's just another way to get you to play older content over and over without making it feel dull or boring. There's always that shiny carrot on a stick at the end of that road. Now, technically, this is a Switch 1 game, which I find really interesting because they have confirmed that there is going to be a Switch 2 version coming later down the road, and I think it's coming sometime this year. But how this game runs on the Switch 2 is flawlessly. This game actually looks and plays great. The art style is fantastic with its pixel-based design, and the music is a treat and oftentimes reminds me of the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack. A lot of the tracks sound very, very similar to the stuff that was in Cult of the Lamb, which that is also a Devolver game, so it's not super surprising that they might have reused some of their studios or whoever worked on that particular soundtrack on this particular game, because it is so incredibly similar, which is great because I love the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack, so this game's soundtrack hits incredibly hard as well. Now, like I said, they did mention a Switch 2 version is coming a little bit later down the road, and honestly, I don't know what their plans are for a Switch 2 version of this game. Like I said, it's already running fantastically on the Nintendo Switch 2 with the Switch 1 version, so I really don't know what improvements they plan to make for the Switch 2 upgrade a little bit down the road. They did confirm on Twitter, however, that this will be an upgradable path. They didn't say if it was going to be free or paid yet, but there will be some sort of upgrade path for you to get the Switch 2 version if you already have the Switch 1 version. And this game coming in at $15 means that even if there is a paid upgrade path, it probably won't be too expensive and it will be pretty affordable to upgrade to that Switch 2 version. But like I said, I don't know what they're actually going to do to improve this game because it's already running so incredibly well on the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. I don't know, and it kind of excites me because it's like, this game's already awesome. What more can they do to it to make it even better? So I'm very keen to see what that Switch 2 version in the future actually holds. So after playing this game for an absurd amount of hours, I'm so hooked on this game. I can safely say that this is one of the best games of the year. This is now in my top 5 games of the year list, and I am hooked on it. The awesome gameplay loop of going and ricocheting the balls and learning the different strategies and like taking on the different levels with all of these characters that all interact and behave differently is so cool and so fun to learn about. But then on top of that, unlocking more things that you can customize your builds with and finding new ball types that can change how each playthrough is actually going to be experienced, that is also so incredibly satisfying. And the number of characters that you can unlock as you continue progressing through the game, there's so many reasons to revisit older levels with those new characters and unlock new stuff, get more powerful. It's just this very satisfying, addicting loop, and every time that I do die before I complete a run, I've never felt like, oh man, this sucks, I'm not having fun. Every run is an absolute blast. I just look at my build and I go, maybe this could have been changed this time around, or maybe I could have taken this upgrade and done something differently that would have changed how this particular character played and made my run a bit more successful. So it's just kind of a trial and error, but never feels that daunting or frustrating because you just go back to town, you unlock more stuff, you get more powerful, you collect more resources, and it's just this incredibly well-tuned loop that I cannot get enough of. It is just so well done, and that little shiny light at the end of the tunnel, that Switch 2 version, I'm so excited to see what they have in store for this game as far as how it performs with a Switch 2 version. I really am curious as to what they actually do to improve this game because it's already looking and running so well in its current state. So that's just another exciting thing to get like rally behind for this particular game. And like I said, coming in at $15 and the amount of content that this game has by redoing levels, going through the entire run, and just seeing all the different builds, there's so much packed into this game that $15 feels like an absolute steal for how good this game is. I absolutely cannot recommend this game enough to you guys. So that is my thought on Ball X Pit. This game is something really special and something that everybody should pick up for their Switch 2. It is an absolute treat of a game, and I'm very excited to see if they do any sort of DLC content down the road. Are we going to get additional levels? Are we going to get even more characters to unlock? This game has so much potential to just keep growing and getting better and better and better, and we already saw them do that with some like cult classics like Cult of the Lamb. That game got a huge following and just got tons of free updates, and I hope that Ball X Pit gets the same thing and we see a bunch of updates to this game come down the road, because I love this and I cannot wait to continue playing more. It's just so addicting. But like I said, that has got to be it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below of Ball X Pit. Do you guys think this game's cool? Are you planning to pick it up, or have you already been playing this game? Are you enjoying this game? Let me know all that in the comments below. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe because it helps me out, helps the video out, and helps the channel out immensely. But until next time, peace.